Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure for me to host this session to talk about ransomware negotiations and how are those guys doing those tactics when are negotiating with the companies. The idea of the presentation is to showcase some of the cases that we observed from the great team when we observed those negotiations, and also explain how this ecosystem of ransomware works in terms of every time they are affecting victims and they are talking with them to negotiate the payment. My name is Mark Rivero, and I'm a senior security researcher on the Global Research Analysis team, also known as GREAT, and I will hold the session today. So before I start to talk about those negotiations, I want to highlight some of the recent operations that were made by the law enforcement agencies to capture some of the guys behind the ransomware campaigns. One of the major news that we had recently is how the Hive ransomware domain was seized by Europol, and how the decryption keys were released to the victims in order to decrypt their files without pay anything in exchange. Sometimes law enforcement are able to capture some of the ransomware groups that are outside affecting victims, and we congratulate special teams like Europol for the operation that they made to capture what we know about the Hive ransomware group. The other operation that we could observe also recently, it was one that was conducted to capture two members from the what we know Doppelpaymer gang group. The operation made by the Europol and the Dutch police, especially, was were able to capture part of the team that was in charge of those operations. This is some of the news that we can observe sometimes when they succeed to have an operation and they capture part of the members of a gang group like this one. So to start to talk about ransomware, we have to understand the ecosystem. We have an interesting report from the FinCEN in US that says that they could manage to track at least 5.2 billions of transaction in the Bitcoin network, meaning that those guys are getting a lot of money from the victims for the different attacks that they are doing. We are talking about all the ransomware gang groups that we have that we know, and of course all the transactions that are public and all the transactions that are detected as a payment made to the different ransomware gang groups. It's actually a lot of money, and that's why the affiliates are like happy to work with the different ransomware gang groups, and that's why we have even more affiliates working for multiple groups at the same time. So if we talk about top families and architecture and exploits, we can find that recently, and we have to remove one of the names on this list because Hive ransomware is not a problem anymore because the domain and the dedication keys were released. But if we count about the different ransomware gang groups, we can observe Lockbit, of course, is one of the major gang groups that we have nowadays. Black Cat is also another group that has also a ransomware as a service model, and they have also the ransomware in Rust that is even more difficult to analyze. We have also Black Bastard that they were really famous about some of the tactics and techniques that they are using on the victims. And we have also a special one that is Cuba ransomware that is also on the landscape for a long time ago. When we talk about architectures, we can see how the ransomware gang groups are affecting on a major way Windows and ECX servers. The ECX servers was something like that was like raising and growing from the last times because they are encrypting basically all the VM data store, meaning that if the company has their own data center and they have their own VMs running, and the affiliate managed to stop that architecture, it means that the company can't work at all, and mean that they are maybe more forced to conduct the demands that are made by the ransomware gang groups. And when we talk about tooling to exfiltrate the data, we could observe how some of the affiliates are using common tools like FileZilla or AirClone or Transmit to transmit the data to the command and control servers. But we can also observe how historically some groups had their own custom utility to exfiltrate the data, like Rebel, for example, has a research tool to exfiltrate the data. We can also see how Lockbit has their own tool that is called Stealthbit to steal the data from the system. These common utilities and these little utilities will search on the system for Office files, for PDF files, for database files, and in case the file is like so big, they will just chunk or split the file in multiple little files and then send them to the command and control server and reconstruct them on destination. But again, there is like two differences: affiliates that are using like common tools to exfiltrate the data, and affiliates that are using custom utilities that are also developed by the same ransomware gang group. In order to do the exploitation to gain what is called the initial foothold, the first victim that was affected by a ransomware group, some of the groups decided to go for hiring what is called initial access broker teams. Those teams will just exploit and compromise the company and then sell the access to the ransomware gang group, so they don't have to spend effort trying to compromise the victim to steal the data and then encrypt it. This is something that is quite common nowadays. Those initial access broker teams are really specialized, really skilled, and they know really well how to do what they do. In terms of exploitation, we can see how they are using 0 days, but also all exploits. That's why it's really important to review and check your attack surface in order to try to address all the vulnerabilities that are out there and all the vulnerabilities that are present on your public infrastructure, and then try to do or try to force them to do a harder job to try to compromise us. Also, the leaked credentials is also a problem. So every time that you are reusing a credential in another website and that website is compromised, it could be that this password is then reused to compromise you in future. That's why it's so important to check and monitor all the credentials that you are using. And if sometimes some of those credentials is compromised, it's important to hurry up and change it in order to avoid any disaster in future. So how this ecosystem works? So from one side, we have what it's called the ransomware operators. These are like the low level part of the scheme of this ransomware as a service model. So basically, those ransomware operators will try to find like suitable victims to attack. They are using platforms like Shodan, Zoomeye, or also Mascan, scanning the entire internet to find like vulnerable architecture that they can attack. When they manage to compromise the company, they do lateral movement to arrive to your Active Directory, and then they try to compromise the entire company. Before to do the data encryption, they are stealing all the information as they can, and when they think they have like if not enough data to extortion the company and to force them to do a payment, they are encrypting the entire company and also demanding like a lot of money to them. It's also true that we are also observing like a new trendy thing that are being executed by some of the groups, that they are not encrypting the data and only stealing the data, because they know that probably the company has a good backup structure or backup methodology, and they will be able to restore the backup on a shortly manner, but they are like afraid of the different penalties that the different regulations of the different countries will have over that company that the data was exfiltrated, and that's why they are putting a lot of effort to exfiltrate all the possible data that they can. So when we talk about scaling this business model, we can observe how these operators are hiring like different affiliates. So the affiliates are cyber criminals that are maybe working in other cyber criminal things. Like for example, they are running malware as a service platforms like Stealers or botnets or whatever they are running on the bad side, but also they want to get money from the job that they do, and that's why they are working for ransomware gang groups, because they know that a lot of money is being moved on that ecosystem. So, and that's why we can also find affiliates that are working for multiple ransomware gang groups at the same time. So depending on how much victims the affiliate can manage to target, they will have like a more or less money in exchange for that operation. Normally, usually the payment is split between 70% for the affiliates and 30% for the ransomware operator, meaning that mostly all of the money is going to the affiliate. But as much affiliates are a group can has, more like victims are affected with that. So it's basically it's self for them to scale the system. So when we talk about how these guys are professional and how it's possible that they are getting a lot of money, we have to think about that they are developers at the end. So they can develop any platform that they need. They can manage to create like custom utilities to exfiltrate data, for example. They can also, with the money that they are getting, they can buy exploits on the other ground in order to compromise companies. They are able to download or buy leak database in order to have even more data to do spam campaigns or to compromise more users or to have big dictionaries to use on their brute force attacks. So basically, as they have resources, they can do whatever they need for. And this is an example about the private panel that is on the Lockbit side. So what we can observe here is like a wizard, an assistant that will help the affiliate to publish the data related to a company that was affected. So what we can observe here is how the affiliate can fill data like the company site, the company description. They can also choose a deadline. So every time we see on the Lockbit panel 10 days remaining, it means that that data was filled on the system when they publish a new post on the blog. They can also upload a company logo, and they can also hide partially the name or list the file or not, or allow download files or not. So basically, they can do whatever they want with those publications. So actually, it's a platform to help the affiliates to upload any sensitive data that they managed to steal from the company on the attack phase. So when we talk about the stealer and the ransomware, they have also options. So the affiliate can build their own custom ransomware for them with the different functionalities that they need for the attack. So it's basically like a receipt that they can manage to consult and adjust to their requirements. So we can see here how they can compile a ransomware sample that has user account control bypass enabled or not, if they want to show the Windows mode on the encryption process, if they want to kill processes on the encryption process. So basically they can enable or disable any functionality that they think that it could be like beneficial for them. And they can also choose like a build date and also a comment like okay, I'm building this ransomware for the customer XYZ or whatever they want to do. In order to build a stealer is more or less the same principle. So basically they can build an stealer for them, and they can also adjust some of the options on this compile process. It's also worth to mention that they can also run those samples the binary and the stealer with different parameters, meaning that they can also customize or even script the execution on real time when they are affecting the company itself. This is an example about three different situations that the victim can have on the logbit panel. So from one side, on the top, we can see like a company that is affected, and then they have like 12 days remaining to negotiate with Lockbit in order to not have their data published. On the other side, we have a company that is already negotiating with Lockbit, but they have also a price established, meaning that the Lockbit group considered to give like a price to the victim in order to not publish the data publicly. And then, unfortunately, we have the third scenario where the data was published because the company doesn't accomplish the demands made by the ransomware gang group. So talking about negotiations, so we have to think about negotiations like if you play chess. I mean, you have to think ahead of the situation. You have to consider what can occur in case you do this action, or what will happen if you this another action. So if you don't have experience with that, please engage with a partner, engage with a company, engage with a professional that is. It's like they have experience doing those steps, because at the end of the day, this data, your data that was already compromised, it could have like a lot of impact if it's published. So it's important to do this with expertise, and it's important to know how those groups are doing these negotiations, because it's not the same that you are affected with Blackbuster or with Black Cat or with Lockbit. All the affiliates are working on a different way. The negotiators are different probably. So it's important to know how those groups are acting and what you can do and what you can do. That it's also really, really important. So basically, if we divide the negotiation in 4 different steps, so basically on the first time, on the first step, the organization will identify that is compromised, that is affected by a ransomware. How we know that? Because, we will find like a risky note on the desktop or in the C drive that says, hey, you are affected by ransomware, by this ransomware family. These are the instructions to contact with us. So it's important to know how to how to speak with them and how they works after the attack. So basically, in case you find like a data breach, it's important to first try to assess how much data was compromised. Then it's important to open a communication channel with the attackers. It's important to open it, because this will help us to save time. Because if you don't open any channel, it means that you are not like willing to speak with them, so they will maybe publish the data without telling you anything else. And that's why it's so important to open the live chat and try to arrive to an agreement with them. The other step on those negotiations are the information exchange. So basically, you will exchange information with the attacker in order to know, to verify, to certify that they are responsible for the attack. So imagine that you are exchanging like or to paying or maybe to negotiating with other groups that are not responsible for your attack. And that's why it's so important to force the ransomware gang group to send them like a file to decrypt. So, and we have to be smart on that part. So if we have like a critical file that is important for us, it's better to select that file instead of select like a random one. So that's why it's so important also to make sure that we are selecting or choosing the right file to let them to decrypt it for us. On the negotiating part, we have to basically doing the negotiation to rescue your data, and that's why it's so important to follow some simple rules. So if the ransomware gang group says explicitly that they don't want to speak with any company that is doing negotiations. I mean, we all know that exist companies that are doing part of their business is to negotiate with ransomware gang groups. So if the ransomware gang group is saying, please, we don't want to speak with companies that are doing that kind of business, it's important to not show the ransomware gang group that we are, or that we exchange that information with a company like that, because then it will mean that you broke the rules, and then it means that they can publish the data anyway on the website. And that's why it's so important to follow the rules that were established by the ransomware gang group. And the fourth step is the agreement part. So basically, when we agree to do whatever it will be done, it's important to arrive to an agreement. And this means that if you are interested in have any rule, you are interested to do anything, it's important that to let them know what you want to do, and then arrive to an agreement. And these are the four steps of negotiation that every time a victim is affected by a ransomware, is something that you will like surface basically. So are the negotiations handled by themselves? This is an interesting question, because we could observe how some of the ransomware gang groups, they simply hire another guy or another bunch of people to do the negotiation for them. And that's why every time you want to or you have any specific detail, or you need any specific information, that's why they are always saying something like, okay, let me check with the team, and let me check and get back to you. And this means that they are not like people that can do or can take decisions on their own. And this scenario could have some advantage on the negotiation part. And that's why we have to identify which groups they are using their own negotiators, or which groups are hiring or selecting other people to do that job for them. So when we talk about negotiations, we can find two different scenarios. One of them is to the people or the groups that have like a live chat, and means that you can speak directly with the ransomware gang groups, and establish some of the negotiations rules that they want to establish. And the other one is the old, what I call the old method, that you have like an email address, and you are exchanging data privately through email. Usually, those guys are using ProtonMail or Tutanota in order to have an email there to contact them, and to exchange data between victim and aggressor. The common way of serving nowadays are the live chats, because it also how to say it allows them to interact directly with the victim, and all the negotiations are, let's say, more faster than you have to change an email and then wait for the reply and then reply back. So basically, all the major groups are using chat to interact faster with the victim. So if we put ahead, or besides the ransomware as a business model, that we can observe that a company is affected by ransomware, and then the victim pay or not with the rescue in order to not have the data published. We have also to speak about what we call destructive ransomware. So we could see, or we could show a ransomware family that is called Elections Go Ransom, or also called as well Hermetic Ransom, that was discovered at the end of February in Ukraine. And basically, what we found with this ransomware was the possibility to only destroy resources, and not letting the victim to pay any risk in exchange, because the ransomware didn't contain any risk node or any way to contact with the owners, meaning that the unique objective from the group that developed that ransomware was to destroy resources on the victim that they targeted. So this is also another possibility that you can spot in your company. So that's why it's important to check any evidence file that you find on your network, and then try to figure out which are the objectives behind the attack that you are suffering. So when we talk about different negotiations, this is an example about like a public one between County Locker and a public school in US. So basically, the chat starts with the aggressor telling the victim who they are. In this case, is an example of County Locker team that they first want to know which are the person that is behind the chat, because they want to ensure that the person that is negotiating with them, they have enough capabilities to make decisions, because sometimes they will demand money, that sometimes they will demand time, and that's why the ransomware gang group needs someone on the other side that is able to make decisions. And it's so important to highlight it, because it's quite important that every time that we are that someone is opening a channel to discuss with those operators, it's important that is someone that is able to make decisions, because at the end of the day, you have like a short time of period to negotiate with the ransomware gang group, and that's why it's important to have someone that is able to take decisions. On this case, the County Locker team demanded like huge money to this public school, and the person that is in charge of this negotiation, it says that, listen, we are a public school and we don't have like this quantity, this money quantity to pay you in exchange to not publish our data. The other scenario is someone that is trying to negotiate with this chat support is from the defunct rebel team. And as you can observe in the image, the affiliate, after multiple times to negotiate with the person that is on the other side, the affiliate thinks that the person doesn't have the capabilities to negotiate with them, and that's why they are requesting to the victim, like, listen, put someone that is capable to take decisions, because we are losing the time here, and you are an incompetent negotiator, meaning that this could be also another reason to force the ransomware gang group to publish the data. And that's why it's so important to take this part really serious, keep the channel open, and try to write to an agreement to rescue your data and to save the data from your users. This is another example about a negotiation that was made for a big victim. So basically, what we can observe here is how a company was managed to negotiate a universal decryptor for the entire company. So this company was affected by multiple affiliates at the same time, and instead of have like a money demand for every of the different infections, they managed to get a universal decryptor for all the people that was affected by the ransomware. So this is an example about how sometimes the negotiation is like beneficial for the victim, because they are managed to get an universal decryptor for the entire company. And this is another example, or the last example, when someone is like not taking care about what the ransomware gang group managed to steal, and they don't care, and they are like even insulting the affiliate that is on the other side. So basically, this the main principal title of the presentation. So basically, not negotiate with them in terms of make the payment, keep the channel open, try to save time, try to assess which data was stolen during the compromise made by the affiliates, and try to force them to not pay and to recover your data. It's an ecosystem that they are using to get a lot of money. Actually, as I said, we have a report from the FinCEN that they managed to track at least 5.2 billions in payments, in rescue payments made by the different ransomware gang groups across the history on the Bitcoin network. We know that there are also other groups that are using Monero, another methods to pay the rescue, and that's why we have to even put more difficult the job for them to not let them to compromise us and to not pay them to rescue our data. Some of the conclusions in order to finish the presentation. So basically, we have to stay aware about the negotiation TTPs used by the ransomware gang groups. So it's not the same that you speak with Black Cat or if you speak with Black Basta or if you speak with High Ransomware at that time when they were alive. It's also important to follow the rules. We don't want to have our data published, and that's why if the ransomware note says don't hire any company to negotiate for you, don't do it, or at least try to hide it as much as possible in order to not break the rules established by the aggressor. It's important also understand the negotiation like a business process. So it's important to know which are the demands, know how much we can negotiate, and know also how to negotiate. And that's why we will need like support or expert support to do this part for us. It's also important to analyze your attack surface in order to find like security flows. So basically, those guys will try to scan passively your infrastructure using Shodan or similar. We can do the same. Actually, we can sync up in Shodan and then scan our infrastructure to find any flow that is out there. And it's also important to do what we call tabletop exercise that we can test the company about. Okay, if I suffer like a ransomware encryption, what my people should do? We should assess the situation. We should isolate the computer. We should hire a company to negotiate. And that's why the tabletop exercise will help our company to be even more mature and be able to assess or to reply effectively to a type of compromise like a ransomware attack. And this is all. Thank you very much for joining us. I will be here a couple of minutes to reply questions. So let me read the first one. So the question by Mil Raji is, how advisable is to engage in negotiation at all? It is necessary to keep in mind that hackers keep correspondence that they can later use if negotiation fails as well and use them for an additional form of extortion. This this is an interesting question, and you are right. I mean, we are having a risk doing those negotiations, but it's important to keep the channel open just to have them like spending time with you, because if not, the no reply, it will finish with data published on the blog, and that's why opening this channel and trying to arrive to an agreement with those guys, it will help the company to even recover from the attack, or to also try to address at least the situation. The other question is it possible to download the slides? Good question. You can see the webinar. I don't know if the slide will be published or not. Thank you, Ivan. And thank you, Soga, for your gentle comments. Thank you very much. Any other question, guys? I'm here to reply anything you want. Okay. So thank you very much for everything. I have a question. What are the conditions for conducting a negotiation? Mr. Sogi, so basically, depending on the ransomware gang groups, there are some of the groups that are managed to establish some rules, like don't hire any negotiation company, or we want to hear from you from this day to this day. So depending on the ransomware gang group, and that's why you need an expert team to assist you and to be able to help you on the negotiation part. Um, okay, let me check another comment from Mr. Anthony Green. How do you mention the communication with the newspaper and other media channels? The Royal Mail was in the press a lot. So this is something like a collateral or lateral impact that sometimes your company can have, right? I mean, maybe you want to like have the time to negotiate with the company, but the entire industry is like advising everyone about the incident is something like that. The ransomware gang groups, I mean, are used to do that, to also apply additional pressure on the company to force them to pay. That's why you have to have like a good PR team that is able to talk with the press and to tell them frequently which is the situation. So another question for Mil Raji. One of the problems is that there is no common option or whether to pay. Hackers are not. If we agree to pay hackers, they use that money to buy new equipment. That's why we always say that we don't have to pay them in exchange, and we have to try to arrive to another agreement with them. As you probably know, we are founding members of No More Ransom Project, that we are releasing the cryptos for all the victims to have them having the possibility to recover the data without paying anything in exchange. It's true that with the extortion, with this new extortion tactic made, some of the sensitive data is affected, and then based on the regulations of your country will also affect you. And that's why it's important to be able to protect your data, to analyze your attack surface, and then we'll be able to not accomplish the demands made by those ransomware gang groups. Thank you, Robert, for your comment. Thank you very much, and also thanks to Thomas as well. Interesting questions by everybody. I'm happy that everyone enjoyed the presentation. Okay, I think we can finish here. Thank you very much, everyone, to join us. We hope that you enjoyed the presentation, and let's keep in touch. You can find me on Twitter, Mar Rivero on Twitter, and you can ask me whatever you want, and we will be really happy to help you. Thank you very much, everyone.